Hello and welcome to day 2 of Advent of Code 2021. Let's get started. Day 2, dive. So day 1, what was it before? Let's see. I don't even remember. Sonar sweep. Okay, we tried to measure the depths of the position. Oh, we're just trying to map the depth of the seafloor. Okay. So day 2 is dive. Okay, after we map the depth, we gotta dive down. Now you need to figure out how to pilot this thing. It seems like the submarine can take a series of commands, like forward 1, down 2, or up 3. Okay, looks like we have to split the strings by the character space. Forward X increases the horizontal position by X units. Down X increases the depth by X units. Up X decreases the depth by X units. Okay, so there's only forward, down, and up. Okay, so no backwards, no left or right. Got him. Note that since you're on a submarine, down and up affect your depth, and so they have the opposite result of what you might expect. Okay? So when you go down, you actually increase the number. You go up, you decrease the number. The submarine seems to already have a planned course, your puzzle input. You should probably figure out where it's going. For example, forward 5, down 5, forward 8, up 3, down 8, forward 2. Your horizontal position and depth both start at 0. The steps above then modify them as follows. Forward 5 adds 5 to your horizontal position, a total of 5. Down 5, adds 5 to your depth, resulting in a value of 5. Forward 8 adds 8 to your horizontal position, a total of 13. Up 3 decreases your depth by 3, resulting in a value of 2. Down 8 adds 8 to your depth, resulting in a value of 10. Forward 2 adds 2 to your horizontal position, a total of 15. So your horizontal position can only go up, as there's no backwards. So you have a horizontal position and a vertical position, I guess, up and down, right? After following these instructions, you would have a horizontal position of 15 and a depth of 10. Multiplying these together produces 150. Calculate the horizontal position and depth that you would have after following the planned course. What do you get if you multiply your final horizontal position by your final depth? Okay, we're going to do a multiplication at the end, just so it's easier to submit, I'm guessing. So let's get our puzzle input. Yep, as expected. Is there any backward? No, there's no backwards. Okay. Only forward, up and down. Okay, got him. But let's start off with the sample solution first, of course. And not this, I'm told. Okay. And we're going to need a new text file. Day 2 sample. Should I capitalize this? Sure do. Yeah. Okay, we got that. Now let's make a new Python file. And we will name it day 2. Okay. And of course, to make it easier, just copy and paste. We're not there yet. Day 2 sample.text. IDE. Okay, let's start off. Part 1. How should I do this? I can split. So my utilities function returns the strings of each line having an element. in the list. So now for each element in the list, I would split it to get the direction and the value, the magnitude. So once I split it, I look, and if it's forward or down, no, 1 sec. If it's up or down, I store that value into the depth variable, and then if it's forward, I store the value into the horizontal variable. And then at the end, I multiply the horizontal by the vertical, and I get my final answer. Now, I have to be a bit careful about my addition and subtractions for down and up. For example, down should be the addition, and up it will be subtraction to the value. Okay, let's get started. So, let me think here. We got our input lists. We parsed it already. Let's just go through it. I'll just call it command. In input list, and then I will try to split it. By the space, because as you can see, you have to assume that the puzzle input is correct and that there's going to be only one space between the word and the value. So I don't have to worry about multiple spaces. And we can store this into a variable, a list, a list. I don't know how to name this. Maybe a command list. And then we have depth. Or should we have direction first? If the first element of the command list is up or down, oh my god, French keyboard. We add or subtract depending on it, which we don't actually need the or. We can just do an elif. So if it's up, we're going to have a depth variable which starts at 0, and then we're going to have a what's the horizontal version of depth? I don't know if there's one. Horizontal position. 0. So up, depth, becomes depth minus the second element. And if it's down, depth minus, or depth increased by the second element. And we can actually have an else because we know that there's only going to be 3 types of instructions in the puzzle input. And we assume that the puzzle input is correct. So the else will always be forward then. Horizontal position will always increase. I don't know when it ever decreases. I don't think there are any negatives. Let's see. Yeah, no negatives. No backwards, no negatives. This looks good. So at the end, we will have a depth value and a horizontal position value. We can just return these two multiplied by each other. And that will print it out in the console, which we can then enter it into for our solution, into Advent of Codes for a solution. Okay, let's see. Let's just run it. Please work, please work, please work. Yeah, you are always into strings. Okay, I have to remember that. Because I haven't been using my input list function or parse function a lot. Parse do strings, so I have to remember that when you're doing arithmetic with these values, you should convert to integer. Convert into integer. Convert into integer. And let's see what we get. 150. I have no clue if that's correct. That looks wrong. Hold on, no, they're multiplied together. Okay, wait. So 13, 15 multiplied by 10 is 150. That is correct. So let's just copy this and make a new file name. Don't ask again. Okay. And this will be changed to day2.text. Let's try it out. Anyways, this number, I don't even know how to say it in English. Submit it, whatever it is. Looks like the right answer as expected. Let's continue to part 2. Based on your calculations, the planned course doesn't seem to make any sense. Okay, makes sense. You find the submarine manual and discover that the process is actually slightly more complicated. In addition to horizontal position and depth, you'll also need to track a third value, aim, which also starts at 0. Okay, the commands also mean something entirely different than what you first thought. Down x increases your aim by x units. Up x decreases your aim by x units. Forward x does 2 things. It increases your horizontal position by x units. It increases your depth by your aim multiplied by x. Okay, it's a bit more complicated, but I think we can tackle it. Again, note that since you're on a submarine, down and up do the opposite of what you might expect. Down means aiming in the positive direction. Okay, yes. I get it. So I'm guessing it could be negative, huh? Because if you keep on decrease your aim, then it could be negative, and then your depth would be your aim, which is negative, multiplied by value, which will not be a negative. This x value cannot be negative, so it then would be negative, and your depth would decrease. Okay, makes sense. Just something to keep in mind. Again, note that since you're on a submarine, blah blah blah. Okay, now the above example does something different. Forward 5 adds 5 to your horizontal position, total of 5. Because your aim is 0, your depth does not change, right? Down 5 adds 5 to your aim, resulting in a value 5. Forward 8 adds 8 to your horizontal position, total of 13. Because your aim is 5, your depth increases by 8 times 5 equals 40. Up 3 decreases your aim by 3, resulting in a value of 2. Down 8 adds 8 to your aim, resulting in a value of 10. Forward 2 adds 2 to your horizontal position, a total of 15. Because your aim is 10, your depth increases by 2 times 10 equals 22, a total of 16. They didn't give a negative example here. Tricky puzzle makers. After following these new instructions, you would have a horizontal position of 15 and a depth of 60. Multiplying these produces 900. Using this new interpretation of the commands, calculate the horizontal position and depth you would have after following the planned course. What do you get if you multiply your final horizontal position by your final depth? Okay, we want these two. It's the same thing, right? Yeah, horizontal position by your final depth. Okay, how do I do this? The same thing, but I'm just going to add another aim variable. And the calculations would be a bit different. Just have to follow the calculations and we're good. Very similar to part 1. I should actually... From now on, I should actually do this in 2 lines because I will have both a sample and the actual puzzle input, and I can just comment whatever. Oh shoot, this is Python. Comment whatever I don't need. Okay, let's get ready for part 2. So there's depth, there's horizontal position, there's also a value called aim. Great. So it's up and down. So instead of depth, it's aim. And forward increases the horizontal position by the value, and it increases your depth by aim multiplied by x. X multiplied by aim is the same thing if you know your math. And we return this. Great. Again, I can comment it out. And we can print a part 2. And start off with the sample, of course. 900. Looks correct. Try with our actual input. We get this huge number. Again, I don't know how to say it, but let's just submit it. Should be right, and it is. So that's day 2. It's a pretty straightforward one. Did it pretty quickly. Again, if I was doing this as a competition, then I wouldn't really read through everything word by word and make a lot of comments on it. That takes up a lot of time. So hope you enjoyed day 2 and see you tomorrow.